I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now have Mr. Berg lead us in the Texas flag.
Thank you so much. Honor the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to the Texas. One state under God, one and indivisible.
That was a sped up version.
Real.
Okay, roll call, we have Saavedra?
Yeah.
Mr. Avalos,
Right here. You got us mixed up.
Mr. Berg,
Here.
Mr. Haggerty's absent, Mr. Mena's absent, Walter Miller's here, Ms. Ramirez, Mr. Stout is absent, and Ms. York is absent. So we do have a quorum. We can go forward. Our first item on the agenda is public comment. Has anyone signed up for public comment? Thank you. No one has signed up. Does anyone want to address the board? Hearing none, we can move to item number 2, approval and signing of the minutes from the August 18th, 2022 meeting. Do I have a motion on the minute?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Item number 3 is review and approval of the financial reports for July of 2022.
Ms. Goldman will give you an update.
Good evening, Rosa Goldman, Chief Financial Officer. Financial report contains the balance sheet, report of revenues, expenditures, and changes in cash balance, the investment report, and the note to the financial report. As we can see on the notes, we have the line item building janitorial, an additional $894 over budget due to the extra cleaning and the higher cost of supplies. The next line item is books, publications, subscriptions. That line item is over budget by $3,803, and we needed some additional residential sales reports. And then we have the appraisal review board. It is over budget by $22,842, and it's due to the increase in protests and hearings that we didn't anticipate for the fiscal year. And the last item is supplemental helps, temporary staff, $8,226 over budget, and it was due to cover vacancies. Now, under the encumbered funds, the litigation reserve, we had $900,000 from last fiscal year. We have been carrying it. And for the month of July, for first time this fiscal year, we needed to take $10,240. So the balance in that encumbered funds is $889,759. Are there any questions?
Board members, remember, before we take out of the litigation encumbered funds, we use the line item that's in the budget, so this means we used everything that was in the budget for litigation so far. We're anticipating probably about another $60,000 for the next two for the next 2 months, so about $120 that we'll be spending out of this reserve. But that's what the reserve is for, so that we can get reports. We had several reports that we purchased this year, and of course several lawsuits. So.
Question. Yes. In regards to what, ma'am, you mentioned extra cleaning?
Well, extra cleaning because of the, when we have more people in the building and due to the COVID, plus we realized that the cost of the supplies went also higher.
So it's labor and cleaning.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Also, during the summer when we have our ARB hearings, we do a cleaning of all the panel rooms when they break for lunch. Then we go in and we send in our custodial, and they clean wipe down all the panel rooms. So that's
very good.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Does that conclude your report?
Yeah, this completes the report.
Do Do we have any further questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the report as
Move to
presented.
approve subject
Thank
to
you.
audit.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second?
Have a motion and a second, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. We can go on to item number 4, discussion and possible action regarding a resolution of encumbered funds for litigation reserve.
Board members, we do like to keep, the board last year set our encumbered fund at $900,000, so we have those funds to be able to pull from. With pulling the $10,000 plus that we just took from them in July, and then estimating about $60,000 for the next 2 months, that gives us down to about $769,759. We're asking encumbered funds. We will have about, right now estimated, because we haven't had the audit, but we did estimate what our expenses are going to be the last 2 months. And it's looking like we'll have about $950,000 plus minus to give back to the entities. So we're asking for $130,241 to take from that to put back into the litigation, so we stay at that $900,000. It's a very nice cushion, and it also lets the public know we have money for any major suits or to buy any type of reports. So we're just asking to beef that back to the $900,000.
Okay, I guess it's just illegal. Would it be appropriate to move those funds now, or to do this action now, or wait until we have an exact number?
No, we can't, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. We're only allowed to encumbered funds up to the last day of our current budget, which is the end of this month.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
there's a reason for that.
Right.
So I think we want to, there's 2 questions here, whether we want to remain around the $900,000 level, which seems to have worked well. If that's it, I think the appropriate motion would be to transfer that amount of funds necessary to bring it to the $900 level, that way we don't tie you down to a specific number.
Correct, yes, sir.
I have a few questions.
Okay?
So the 900,000 is for next year's budget, which starts October 1st?
Yes, sir.
So we're getting money from the next fiscal year to complete the last 2 months of this fiscal year?
No.
Okay.
We'll be pulling from the $889,000 that's already in there. We'll be pulling the $60,000 that we're estimating for August and for September. So since that's being estimated, what I did is I took the $10,000 that we've already spent, the $120 that we're estimating, and added that or subtracted that from what we have left. And so putting that 130 will put us back at the 900,000.
So it's still the FY22 money?
Yes, sir.
And
Coming out of the 2022 going into. We're not allowed to have any savings. So the Attorney General did rule on this a few years back, saying that appraisal districts can encumber funds for very specific purposes. Since we're not allowed to have savings funds or rainy day funds, so this is specifically for litigation and can only be used for litigation.
And is this also, this is just for any lawsuits that might come up? It's not for any staff salaries, anything like that?
No, sir. No, it is just strictly for legal fees, legal expenses. Like if we contract an appraisal to be done, or we have to have an expert witness that we have to pay for, that's what this is for.
And how many lawyers do we have?
Well, we have the firm Purdue, Brandon Fielder, Collin and Mott, which is Joe Longoria, who you met. And then, of course, Carmen Hegerman is our local attorney
So
here.
she's the only in-house lawyer that we have?
Well, not in-house.
So they're all contract?
They're all contract.
Okay,
We
so
don't
no
have
in-house
in-house,
lawyers. And
I can't afford them.
This is strictly for any lawsuit, so to...
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
And then I guess, can we get like a historical, like maybe the last 3-4 years on how this fund has kind of happened, if you're at reaching the 900 every year, or?
Oh, no, we
what
don't.
happens?
I will say this, about 3 years ago, we did spend all but about 30, Rosa?
The information is on the audit report that you received this year in February, and it is also in the budget. There is in the budget, there is a line item that the capital is.
A couple of years ago, we were down to about, yeah, it is in the audit that we do every year. The auditor addresses this and will give you, and we do have the history, and then, like you said, in the budget. At one point, we were down to about 36,000, something like that. And so we built it back up again so that we have that strong reserve to pull from, or encumbered funds, not a reserve, but encumbered funds, that if we have a major lawsuit, example would have always a large property owner that would cost us, $100,000 just for a report. It'd be like $1 million to go to court. Not that we're going to, but having those funds shows that the taxpayers that we do have the resources.
And just the last thing I had on this is really, I would appreciate some sort of backup on items like these. I mean, it's a lot of money to move around. I get why we're doing it, and it's okay to do that. But I mentioned this last month. There was an item that we needed to purchase something, and it was like, well, let me tell you how much money we're going to spend. There was nothing on paper. I'm a very visual person, and I like to look
Okay.
at what we're doing. And you're giving me all these figures, you're tossing them out. It's making sense, but I would have, even a one-pager would have made this
Okay,
item
showing
a lot
a history or
easier.
something. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
just to understand where you're moving it from what account to what account is.
Basically,
we're doing?
it's not coming from any account, it's coming from what's left over.
Right.
Because since we start every year with a zero balance budget, and so at the end of this month, we'll start with a zero balance, we'll start with our new budget. But we're allowed to hold a little bit back for very specific purposes. So what I'll do, in fact, I'll work on it so I can send it to you.
Yeah.
I can show you the last several years and send you copies of the audits that we've had last several years that show that in there.
Yeah, no, and I think it
happy to
just would
send
make
that.
it a much easier process and more transparency would be
Sure.
added to it.
Be
So I
happy to do that.
appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
I have two questions. First of all, so this is basically surplus that will now out. It is.
Yes, sir. It's funds that will go back to the taxing entities because they were not spent.
Right.
So we're asking for,
Some of it to be taken and build back this reserve that we have.
correct,
before.
yes, sir.
And even though we can't have a savings account, these are interest bearing. We still have
Yes.
it in a 1%.
It is a savings account. It's just-
It is.
Yeah, it is, but
Because
it
you said
isn't,
we
yeah,
couldn't, so
yeah.
I'm just saying it is in.
It is in an interest bearing, yes, sir. It is in it's with part of our
Technically,
revenue.
we're not allowed to have a fund balance at the end of the year.
I know.
Yeah,
But for
but-
the sake of the board
Yeah.
yeah.
and transparency, we need to say that we are making interest on
Yes.
this money.
Yeah.
It's not
Yes.
just sitting in an account.
It's under my mattress at my head. No, I'm just kidding.
It's not.
No, it
not
is,
bearing
it is invested, yes.
I'll make,
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna make a motion so we can discuss it, because really we should have a motion that we can discuss. So my motion is that we go ahead and allocate this money to replenish our account that we have for attorney's fees, so that we maintain, to the best we can, the $900,000 arbitrary number that we have, because I think it shows the taxpayers that we have the ability at least to defend our appraisals.
Yes.
Because if they don't see it, then my fear is that they're just gonna.
And that's what had happened to us before.
Okay, I have that motion. There has been a motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I'm sorry.
Discussion, please.
And I'll second it because I think what Mr. Acevedo said is very important. From what I remember, only Mr. Miller and myself were here when we had that conversation about the owners of the outlets possibly having that huge lawsuit, and that's why we that board back then decided to create that $900,000 cushion. And then it ended up, we did it again the next year because people were suffering during COVID, and we knew they were going to try and save money on their protests. So that's why we're doing it again, and it makes sense to keep it nice and comfy moving forward. But I think something for future boards would be nice as a point of reference, because that was already almost three years ago.
Right.
I was thinking about the fountains at Farah, which was our most recent issue.
Yes.
And if we had said we only got $30,000 in this account, we've spent the whole thing, and they would have just. The answer is just saying to them, "Hey, look, guys, we have a reserve. Let's settle." And they ended up settling.
And at some
And that was
point,
just last meeting.
Yep.
we should probably consider upping the amount, continue to up with that amount to maintain our reserve at I'm not sure that we need to do it this year, but
We talked about $1 million at one point.
yeah, $1 million at one point, just to have a significant amount that we could do. So I don't know if we want to take 100,000 out of it this year, but I think that would be something that we could look forward to.
Are we behind on lawsuits, on meeting people's?
Oh, yeah, we have about, Just under, what, 14,000 lawsuits? They're constant. 1,400, I'm sorry, 1,400. I didn't mean to panic you. But 1,400 is a lot, yeah. Yeah, we have 1,400 plus lawsuits. We're not behind, we're in negotiations and talking, but it just takes a long time to do because they drag them out. Yeah. And then, of course, the courts, we're towards the bottom. In fact, Ms. Hegerman, if you'd like to address that issue with the board, but why it takes so long with the judges and the courts and everything.
Because of COVID, the tax cases were dropped to the very, very bottom. So we hold no strength as far as the judges are concerned to move the cases quickly. And not only that, the property owners file, as a new year comes up, they amend their petitions. Some of them file a new petition, and that's another reason why the numbers start adding up as far as number of filings.
For the record, for clarity, taxpayers pay what they're assessed.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I'm already
Well,
reading his
they
mind.
pay the
So they pay what they're
undisputed.
assessed, then we would have to refund if we reach a
Right.
settlement below that amount. But it's in the taxpayer's interest to move this case along more than ours because they've already paid their taxes. And the longer it takes, the less.
Well,
Well,
not necessarily, because they can get a huge interest rate
Right.
on the money.
Almost 9%.
A set rate?
Yes.
How much is the set rate that we pay tax? Then I'm going to overpay you guys. So how much do we pay taxpayers?
We don't.
I think
Wow.
it's 8%.
8%.
Wow.
And except for the very large property owners,
Wow.
they do pay the full amount of taxes, and so we do have to refund any difference. The smaller property owners pay the undisputed amount, and so that makes it
Who set the 8% rate?
The
Legislature.
What is the threshold for a smaller property from a larger property?
Crazy.
What defines that?
like
Like the refinery versus.
There's no statutory limit. It's
Right.
just what the property owner is only required by state law to pay the amount not in dispute. But most, especially larger property owners, will pay the whole amount because if they don't pay enough,
We're going to get 8%.
then we charge, or the city tax office charges them penalty if they didn't pay enough. So most of them will pay the full amount, and then they'll get the interest on their overpayment.
Could you guys kindly send that statute via email to me? Or to
Yeah,
all of us,
Miss,
really?
So we're
Ms.
getting
Hegerman,
1%
could you send that to
on
the board
whatever
members?
money
I'll
but
her
we
do
have to
that.
pay out 8%.
Well, we don't, the tax office.
Yeah.
Well,
It's out of the
I get
taxes.
it, but it comes
It's
from
funny
tax.
because when Ann Morgan Lilly was on the board, she was instrumental in getting the law changed to make the interest something like, some kind of variable thing based
And a
on
CPI, based on the
prime or
CPI.
whatever.
Then they
But the
flipped it
very
back.
next session, they went back and changed it back to the 8%.
I'll have Ms. Hegerman send you that information, all the board members, so you see that.
You just give them a new life purpose, by the way.
Right,
know.
it's worth giving you the money and fighting you, and even if we settle.
Well,
like,
it
we
is,
get
that's why
8%
our
on the
lawsuits are what they
Yeah.
are. That's why we have the issues with the lawsuits. And I mean, think about someone like Houston that has, several 100,000 lawsuits filed, because they have over 1 million plus properties, so.
I hear you, Mr. Berg.
That's crazy.
And
Yes.
to
That
be
is just
to be
crazy.
fair, not all property owners ask for the interest. Some of them will waive.
But we have
the
to ask for the interest?
No, the
No.
property owner has to waive the interest
Oh,
if they don't want, if
in
they
the
can
settlement,
say,
they might-
we
Some will
don't
waive.
want the
Settlement
interest,
payments.
but
Right.
some of them do and some of them don't.
Well, Mr. Berg, instead of formulating your business plan here, I think
I'm going
Can we
to
get back-
structure my entire tax.
Get back to business, guys.
we have a motion
Wow.
on the table to
Wow. Wow.
use some of our, I don't know what to call them, extras, unused funds
Use funds.
to reestablish the litigation fund at $900,000. And the second, is there further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. And we can go to item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding a resolution to encumber funds for Texas County and District Retirement System, TCDRS.
As you, the board members are so well know, we're under the Texas County let me try again. Texas County and District Retirement Fund, TCDRS, in our retirement. We started this January of 2011. We didn't really have a retirement fund. They had a couple of investment plans, 401s, 457s, and so the board allowed us to start being part of the TCDRS fund, which is majority of the appraisal districts are in that, and of course counties. Over the years, we have slowly tried to build it up so that we have a very strong, very healthy fund for our employees. We're now at the 250 max that was approved in the budget. So what we're asking is to allow us to go back and take some money, since we are going to have a decent turnover to the entities, take out about $329,000 so that we can go back to the initial date of the plan and do that 250 match for the employees that are here now. Employees that have left, it won't affect them. Employees that came after that date, it would only go back to the date that they came. So that way, the employees that have been here all this time and have been participating in the plan will get the same benefit as our new employees that are going in. We could finance it, but it will lower our unfunded liability by quite a bit. And we have a very nice, strong unfunded liability. We're in the mid 80 percentile. And it'll leave our rate the same that we've already budgeted by taking this out and going ahead and paying that part of the plan so that we update the plan so that everybody's on the same plan. So that's what we're asking for.
This is to come from the same,
Yes, sir, from the funds that we saved and scrimped and didn't spend so that we can give monies back to the
you
entities.
said that was about $900,000.
No, sir, it's 329.
No, I mean.
Oh, yes, we'll have, Ms. Goldman and I looked at the numbers, and we're looking at about 250,000 that we're going to have almost close to $1 million maybe, that we're going to be returning back to the entities.
Overall amount that's might be given back,
Yeah, given back,
isn't it 900?
950,000. Or did I say 250? Oh, I apologize, 900. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, 950,000, or maybe even closer to $1 million. It will be divided by the percentage that the entity pays into our budget. They will get that back. So say the school district, El Paso ISD pays, I think, 21% into our budget. So they'll get 21% credited back to them in their first payment. So
Okay.
there'll still be money going back. Yes, sir.
So there's 950,000, more or less. We take off 350,000, that leaves,
320.
Is it after, his question is it after or before the $1 million is?
no, it's after.
It's, well, we would take it out now.
So you'd only have 600,000 to give back to the.
Yes,
And then we are, and by
Yes,
the
sir.
previous motion, we took 150 out, so you're looking at giving back about,
$500,000.
30, yeah, about $500,000.
So $500,000 will go back to the entities, but the other $500,000 is replenishing this and giving everybody an equal
About
footing.
460 would stay here, and then over 500, almost 600,000 would, hopefully, it'll be even higher. So, well, that's what we're asking for.
How many employees are not meeting that 250 max right now that you're going to need to?
Everybody. Well, I take that back. We just increased our employees. So we have about 11, 15 new employees that we've just hired this last month. So it would be about 132 employees,
How long does
133
it take to
employees.
invest in the program?
Your vestiture is 10 years, but the employees do not get paid anything until they retire. They put in 7% we each put in 7% ourselves out of our paycheck. If I leave before I hit the magic number, which is my age plus the number of years that I've worked here, must add up to 80. So that has to add up. But if I leave before that, I get my money back that I put in, the 7%. But the max that the appraisal district's putting in stays in the fund to help our unfunded liability be strong. And it's to help our retirement be strong for the employees. TCDRS is one of the strongest retirements in the state of Texas. Whenever the legislators start talking about redoing retirements and looking at retirements, they have a very strong retirement. And they don't change anything for them. So it's a very healthy retirement plan. It's an interest-based retirement plan. It's not a stock-based. So it is a strong retirement plan. So we're just trying to equalize so that all the employees are at the same level.
So this one's similar to the other one. I would have appreciated some
Some more
backup on it.
I wasn't exactly sure. I was trying to figure out what kind of backup to send, and I wasn't exactly sure
I think
what to send.
what Mr. Miller was saying earlier, like he was trying to add, how much money are we
Trying to
taking
figure
from
that out.
this?
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna do another 329, and then we did some in the other item, just to kind of understand that, and then how much is gonna be returned to the entities. I think that's really helpful. But I guess, I mean, this is a good thing. I think this is great, and we're going back 11 years to get. That's the 329,000. So how did you come up with that figure?
Well, we did a calculation on the existing number of employees that we have right now and worked with TCRS to figure out how much it would be for us to be able to do that.
So you're not gonna need any more money.
No, sir, I mean, knock on wood, we believe that this would be it.
And then in the long term, what's the financial impact that's gonna be on this?
There really won't, in the long term, right now, the rate, it won't adjust the rate that we pay into the plan. That will stay the same. It will adjust our unfunded liability, but very minimal. So our unfunded will still be probably in the low 80s percentile, maybe 83%, something like that. So we'll still be at a really good rate. Being as we've only been in the plan since 2011, we've been really cautious, and we've just kind of slowly worked on upgrading the plan so it's not a big hit all at one time.
And would it be fair to say that this wasn't included in the budget that we just passed just because now you had all this newfound money and then you said, oh, well, we could do this now?
No, the reason it wasn't included is because to be honest with you, we didn't think about going back.
Okay.
We just were trying to get the max. The 250 is the max that can be matched. The 7% that the employees pay in is the max. So this would be, we would have the maximum amount allowable under this plan. And our goal was to try to build it up over the years so that we could hit that maximum amount. And this would catch us up there.
And the 250 puts us at the same level that the county is, and I believe Lower Valley Water District. So other entities in the area have a similar match to that 250 that we just went to.
Okay. Do we have a motion on this one?
I'll move to approve it. It really benefits those employees we've had the longest, is that not right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I don't want someone who's been here for a long time to be at a disadvantage to someone you just hired a week ago. So at the end of the day, what it does is it creates parity among all your employees.
It does.
I move to approve it.
I have a motion to
Second.
approve it. I got in a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion does carry. Okay, I am going to jump to item number 8 and ask for a deletion of item number 8 from the agenda. Items number 8 and 9, we will hear these next month when we have a more robust attendance on our board. So I'm asking for a motion to delete items 8 and 9. So moved. Have a motion from Mr. Berg. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second from Mr. Ramirez. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 8 and 9 are deleted. That is the remainder of our action items in case we lose quorum. We can go to item number 6, which is the taxpayer liaison report.
Good evening, Board of Directors. Tracy Carter, Taxpayer Liaison Officer. I'm going to make it short and sweet tonight. The Appraisal Review Board was not in session last month. So currently, we're now advertising for the Appraisal Review Board members. We have 19 applications that we received. We have 11 applications from previous ARB members that need to reapply for another term. So we have a total, and then we have 18 members that are scheduled for next year. So we have a total of 48. So I'm hoping to get more, so that way the judge, when she interviews them on October the 11th and 12th, that she has more people to look over. So that's, anybody has any questions for me? Thank you.
Okay, and now item number 7 is the chief appraiser report. Donna, you're up.
Okay, we have started hiring our new appraisers, our new staff, so that we could start them training. They've had their first class, which was an ethics class, and they all passed, and they'll be starting their next classes next week and the following week, which is the Texas property tax system. That's for our appraisers. So they're in the beginning of their intense training. Then they'll be going out in the field. Our staff is already out in the field. We've finished our protest. We will be hearing what we call motions or late protests the end of October, the 1st of November. But until then, we'll be concentrating on education of staff and, of course, getting our field work done and starting to gather our sales information and everything. We have our property value study and our maps review from the state comptroller. So James Thompson and the statistical department have already started working on that to get that information to the comptrollers as quickly as possible. We were at the International Association of Assessing Officers Conference, which was a really great conference, and our IT staff, Rodolfo Adviso, David Martinez, and Chris Barquin put together a presentation, and it was very well received. In fact, it was so well received that we got an invite to use that presentation in the 2023 webinar series that the International Association does for all their members. There's over, 8,000 members that will be able to see that webinar session. So I was very, very proud about them. We just found out today, Gabrielle Melendez, our HR director, has been appointed to the board of directors for the local SHRM organization here in El Paso and in the region. So we're moving along really well. And that's about it for now. We'll keep it short and sweet also.
Are there any questions for Darren? Hearing none and no further items on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? We are adjourned.
What
Thank you,
time?
member.
What time?
5:36.
5:36. Thank you. Thank you, board members. We promised we're going to lose quorum, so